Hello again, everybody. It's Guardian Enzo coming to you tonight with the 2020 Oscars for anime, an annual tradition on lostinanime.com for, about 8 or 9 years, something like that. And I hope everyone's having a good start to the new year. Unlike the real Oscars, there will be no opening monologue, well, a short one, no production numbers, no seat fillers, no 4 hour plus broadcast time. But unlike the last couple of Oscar telecasts, actually, we will have a host, and that's me, because the last couple times I haven't even bothered to do that. I always thought Neil Patrick Harris was the right fit for the job myself, but his one time in the role didn't go over too well, so I doubt they'll ask him back. In any event, I always do this on my website, as my longtime readers will know, and I'm going to post the list of winners over there this year. But the main body of the awards telecast will be right here on YouTube, where I'll give you a little more detail in who I've chosen and why. And just for those of you who aren't familiar with this, basically I do some Oscar themed categories, a few anime specific categories. I don't do a lot of genre awards as some of the anime awards do. I just think some of those get a little specific, and I don't want to get too deep into the weeds there. But again, it's a more general kind of a layout of my views on anime. I don't pretend by any stretch of the imagination to speak for anyone but myself. This is strictly, there's no committee, there's no vote from the Academy. This is just me saying this is what Enzo likes the best. 2020, as we all know, not a great year. Not a great year for anime, not a great year for the world. And as I compiled this list, I certainly realized there were some categories that were a little thin. But, even in a bad year, there's always stuff to celebrate. In a couple of these categories, we have some really, really outstanding choices. All of the winners are great, of course. Even in a bad year, you still get one or two great representatives in every genre, every category, hopefully. And we're going to celebrate those with this presentation. And I hope you enjoy it. And we will start the event off with Best Song. And Best Song, the winner is Easy Breezy by Kelmiko from Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. Eizouken niwa tewa dasna. Not a series I loved, as those of you who follow me on the website know. I didn't cover it after the first couple of episodes because I thought the plotting and the characters were kind of wafer thin. But in the absence of Mr. Creosote, wafer thin maybe isn't the worst thing in the world. And the truth is, the animation was quite nice and it was fun. If it hadn't had Yuasa and Science Saru's magic behind it, I don't think it would have been much of a series. But the opening theme is definitely my favorite theme of the year. So that's my winner, Easy Breezy by Kelmiko from Eizouken. My runners-up, honorable mention this time around. Unlike the real Oscars, we do honorable mentions here. You could call them the nominees if you like. We have the Great Pretender ED by Freddie Mercury, which almost feels like cheating because it's Freddie Mercury doing a great old song. But nevertheless, they did stick a great. It was a perfect choice for that series, and they did stick a great animation sequence along with it. And the other runner-up is Clara Land, Miracle Choo 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 by Valak, Clara, and Family from Mairimashita Iruma-kun, the insert song. And yes, I know they recycled the same insert song 3 times, basically, and just changed a few of the words around. But nevertheless, it is a great insert song. So that's I love that song, and I really grew to love that series. And looking forward to season 2 in 2021. And our next award goes to Best Soundtrack. Best Soundtrack. And the Oscar goes to Golden Kamuy Season 3. Golden Kamuy Season 3. And I really, really, really loved the music this season. As I noted on my series posts on Golden Kamuy this year, I really felt like it had an almost Dr. Zhivago feel to it. I mean, this obviously you had the Russian theme, which helped with that, but the music, which is by Suehiro Kenichiro, was a big part of it too. There was so much scope, there was so much majesty, and the contrast of that with the often zany and very madcap and sometimes shockingly violent tone of the series itself is one of the things that made this season on Golden Kamuy, which was clearly its best, in my opinion, really, really magical. So congratulations, Suehiro Kanishiro. I think you did an absolutely fantastic job there. And our runners-up in that category this year, not a great year in anime music for me, honestly, on the whole, but my runners-up in this category this year were Jibaku Shonen Hanako-kun and, again, Great Pretender. Next category, Best Original Screenplay. And the Oscar goes to Great Pretender. And this was a pretty easy category. Original Screenplay is always a little bit of an easier category than the next category because we don't get that many originals in anime in any given year that really, really merit a lot of recognition, in my view. For me, the obvious best original series this season was Great Pretender by a considerable margin. The last arc was a disappointment, but on the whole, it was still easily the best original series of the season. And this was the slam dunk of slam dunk categories. Every year among the major categories, I always have one that's a slam dunk. This year, for sure, it's Great Pretender winning original screenplay. And our next category. Oh, I'm sorry. Honorable mentions. I have to give the nominees. The honorable mentions this year in original screenplay were Fugo Keiji, Balance Unlimited, and Gegege no Kitaro 2018. And Gegege no Kitaro is a bit of a stretch because it is based, of course, on the very famous manga. But the reality is that this season, or this version of Gegege no Kitaro, basically went off on original material, almost all of it. There were a few themes that they took from the original, from Mizuki's manga, but mostly it was original material. So I think it qualifies. So there you go. Best original screenplay runners-up, Fugo Keiji and Gegege no Kitaro. Next category, of course, is Best Adapted Screenplay. And the winner is... What a surprise! It's Golden Kamuy Season 3. This is a much tougher, more competitive category, as it often is, because in any given year, among my top 10 and top 20, between 70 and 90% of them are almost inevitably from manga. And so was the case again this year. I think Golden Kamuy, because it made some it made some wise changes, small changes, but wise changes to make the season flow really beautifully. The flow from episode to episode was just so good this year. That's why I gave Golden Kamuy the nod this year. My honorable mentions are the wonderful Jibaku Shonen Hanako-kun and Kitsutsuki Tantai Dekoro, which was a great surprise for me this year, a really nice sleeper show. But I will be honest, the top two were very close, and it was a pretty big gap after that for this category for me. The only reason I think, frankly, that Jibaku Shonen Hanako-kun didn't win Best Adapted Screenplay this year is it cut out an arc which I really, really liked, which kind of cut me to the core, that I hated to see that one missed. But other than that, I think that was one that had a really tough job with a very episodic manga that does not flow in the way an anime normally does. And visually, too, that anime had a really tough job, and it did a wonderful job of working through that. Next category is Best Art Direction. Best Art Direction. And the Oscar goes to Takeda Yusuke for Great Pretender. Another award for Great Pretender. Yes, it racks up another Oscar. Well deserved. The art direction here on this series was really, really beautiful. Singapore, London, Los Angeles, the Far East. It's just fantastic. Yusuke is a tremendous figure in anime. He's been around for a long time. Worked on many, many great shows, frequently at Production IG, which of course is the parent company of WIT, and worked on Ghost Town, and then he was also the art director on Gankutsuo, The Count of Monte Cristo, over at Gonzo, which is again one of the most stunning examples of art direction in anime I think you'll ever see. Art director on Moribito, Guardian of the Spirit, which is in my opinion the greatest anime of all time. Just a really, really tremendous figure, well deserving of the award for really, really beautiful art direction on Great Pretender. This was a strong category this year. The runners-up were, honorable mention was Yesterday wo Utate, which looked beautiful despite not having a huge budget. Jibaku Shonen Hanako-kun, which again had a really tough job with a manga that's visually very, very challenging to translate into anime, and it turned it into a kind of a moving storybook in a way I thought was really brilliant. And lastly, Mugen no Junin Immortal, which had some incredibly beautiful, beautiful individual moments in it that I think go down more to direction often than art direction, but the art direction is wonderful there too. So art direction, I think one of the strongest categories in 2020 in anime for me, and Takeda Yusuke for Great Pretender is our winner. The next award goes to Best Animation. Best Animation. And the Oscar goes to Great Pretender again. And I will say, compared to art direction, I don't think this was a great year for animation in anime. I don't think, both Haikyuu and Boku no Hero, which are traditionally shows which have had a lot of sakuga, have they both stepped it back in that department this year. There wasn't a lot out there that really, really wowed me in terms of animation. Great Pretender, just a beautiful, expensive Netflix wit production, looked great top to bottom. I think it takes the nod, especially with the Singapore Sky arc, which had some beautiful, beautiful flight animation in it. My runners up this year are Somali Tomori no Kamisama and Aizoken Niwa Tewo Dasuna. Two shows that I didn't love, but I liked enough, and I would recognize that they were really, really beautifully animated in their own way. So those two would be my runners up. But again, I think a pretty clear win for Great Pretender in what was not a hugely strong year of 2020. Our next category, one of our animation only categories, again, is Best Character Design. And the Oscar goes to Sadamoto Yoshiyuki for Great Pretender. Yes, Great Pretender sweeps the three visual awards for me this year, which has never happened in the LiA Oscars before. I think justified, though. This was a tough category for me. This one was close. Sadamoto, of course, one of the greatest character designers in anime history, without any question of a doubt. Uh, Famous for much of his work at Gainax, but has done other things as well. Also done some manga. I love the character designs in Great Pretender, with one exception, but generally speaking, I love the character designs here. They're really distinct, unusual for anime, but they have some of that classic Sadamoto angular look to them, lifelike, but also larger than life. Really, really beautifully done. So Sadamoto Yoshiyuki, one of the old lions of anime for Great Pretender. Honorable mention goes to Jibaku Shonen Hanako-kun again, and Yesterday wo Utate again. Very, very different from our winner, but also just wonderful character designs there. Okay, next up we get to the acting categories. So this is time traditionally when people uh, grab their tea, their coffee, their snacks from the kitchen and actually sit down and start watching. It's about 10:15, 10:30 by now, and the actual real awards are starting. Although they give the supporting actress or actor award right at the beginning in the Oscars. The best supporting actress category is first, and the Oscar goes to Hori Yui as Aiba Minami. Lovely from Boku no Hero Academia fourth season. And Horiyui is one of my original anime crushes. I've always loved her as an actress. She's another one of anime's old lions, although it's not flattering to call her that, but in Seiyu terms, she is. She's been around for a long time. But she still can play teenagers. She can play adult women. She even plays boys occasionally and still does it very well. She doesn't work as often as she used to, but when she does, she makes it count, and she really made it count here. Both she and the actor who played Gentle Criminal were wonderful in Boku no Hero. It was an arc that really came alive for me, much more so on screen than it did on the page. I didn't recall loving that arc in the manga so much, but I really did love it in the anime, and I suspect a big part of the reason is the performances of the two leads. So yeah, Hori Yui, a legend, justifiably so, in anime, one of the historically greatest seiyuu who's ever lived. She is the winner for Boku no Hero Academia fourth season. Honorable mention, Asai Araka as Valak Clara, the aforementioned Valak Clara in Mairimasa Irumakun. and the great Anzai Chika as Nanamine Sakura in Jibaku Shonen Hanako-kun. All right, next up, of course, after Best Supporting Actress is Best Supporting Actor. And the Oscar goes to Furukawa Toshio as Ratman Nezumi Otoko from Gegege no Kitaro, 2018, which also won in this category last year with Banjo Ginga as Nanashi. And I just really felt like after better than 2 years of stupendous work, I really wanted to recognize Furukawa Toshio, who does a great job with the character that Mizuki Shigeru himself said in his opinion, Ratman was the most important character in the series, the one that really drove the plot more than anyone else, even Kitaro. I don't know if that's true, but I do think he is a great character. Furukawa is over 70, and the energy he brings to this performance to me is really fantastic. So he is my winner. The honorable mentions go to Yamadera Koichi as Tobita Danjuro, who is, of course, Gentle Criminal from Boku no Hero Academia 4th season. Another one of anime's great actors. Was so wonderful in Rakugo, Shinju, and many other roles. Again, along with Horiyui, did a wonderful job with those two characters. And then Terasoma Masaki is Kiraranki in Golden Kamuy 3rd season. I think in a sense, Golden Kamuy gets punished in this category for having so many incredible side characters, most of whom are men. So there's so many actors do so many wonderful things in this series that you could almost have a whole category of best supporting actor in Golden Kamuy, and it would be very competitive. And I could have named more here. There's so many wonderful performances here. But I wanted to single out Terasoma Masaki because his performance in Karaoke is subtler than most of the ones in Golden Kamuy, which call for a little more bombast. And he was really, in many ways, he was the MacGuffin this season. He drove the story probably more than anyone else did. So really great performance. That's my second honorable mention for Best Supporting Actor. Next up, Best Actress. Best Actress. And the Oscar goes to Sugiyama Riho as Minari for Nami yo Kite Kure. Nami yo Kite Kure. Wave, Listen to Me. One of the more pleasant surprises of the season, not just that it was as good as it was, but that it managed to, in the height of the Japanese state of emergency for the pandemic, managed to get through its entire run without any pauses, which was a wonderful thing. A pretty strong category this year, stronger than the Best Actor category, frankly. I did really love Sugiyama's performance here, though she's not a hugely well-known name in anime, but she's great in this role, and it's, I have to say, a great role. It's an actor's role. It's funny. It's got a lot of contrast to it. She's calls on her to be quiet. It calls on her to be subtle, and it calls on her to be really powerful in turns. So she is my winner. Sugiyama Riho as Minari. My runners-up, honorable mention, are Hanamori Yumiri as Chiyuki from Runway de Warate, and Fujiwara Natsumi as Shigeno Daigo in Major Second, Season 2. There's a certain philosophical question about whether an actress playing a male character should be in the Best Actor or Best Actress category, but I consider it an actress because she is a woman, and even though she's playing a boy, I think she goes into the Best Actress category, and she's been wonderful in both seasons of Major Second. Shigeno Daigo is a really great character. Really goes through a lot of growth this season, a lot of emotional transition, and she does a great job of representing that. It's not that easy to play boys that age for women. A lot of them are, frankly, not nearly as good at it as Fujiwara Natsumi is, but she's wonderful. So full credit to her. She does a fantastic job. She's also in Kemono Jihen, by the way. So just a note on that, and doing a great job there as well. Now, Best Actor. Best Actor. And the Oscar goes to Kobayashi Chikahiro as Rikuo from Yesterday wo Utate. And he was a runner-up last year, actually, for Beastars, the first season. And this is an odd category this year for a couple of reasons. One of them being, for the first time, I believe, in the history of the LiA Oscars, we have an actor as a runner-up to himself, and I gave him a runner-up for his role of Sugimoto Saichi in Golden Kamuy third season. Fully deserving. Could as easily have won the award for that as for Rikumo, but I love Yesterday Wo Tate because of the I really think he has a tremendous emotional range in that role, and it's harder in some ways to play someone who's really bottled up emotionally the way Rikuo is than it is to play someone like Sugimoto. So I gave him the nod for Rikuo there, but again, he is his own runner-up. The other odd thing about the category this year is we have a candidate. Runner-up honorable mention is Takahiro Sakurai in two roles as Kindaichi Kyosuke from Kitsutsuki Tante Dokoro and Richard Ranashina Devopian in Hosekisho Richardson no Nazo Kante, Case Files of Julia Richard. Sort of similar roles. I love Sakurai in these more quiet, reserved sign-in roles. He can do the big over-the-top comedy stuff, and he's good at that. But it can get a little samey sometimes. Whereas I think he brings a lot of subtlety to these sorts of roles. I couldn't really split him, so I just made the honorable mention for both. So not a super strong category for me in anime this year. Best lead actor, there was no one as off the charts great as we had last year, but a good year. Not as good as Best Actress this year, not as good as Best Actor last year, but again, great performances at the top. So next up, Best Director. And the Oscar goes to Hamasaki Hiroshi for Mugen no Junin Immortal. I will tell you, in my experience, one of the things that if you're an Oscar watcher, you know that in the movie Oscars, the Academy Awards, almost inevitably, not inevitably, but almost inevitably, this category, Best Director, goes to the winner of the Best Film, Best Picture. And usually it goes to one of the top two or three series of the year for me. And Immortal didn't even make my top 10. But the reason I gave him the Best Director award, Hamasaki Hiroshi, is because to me, Mugen no Junin Immortal is nothing without his direction. His direction, on a minimalist budget, on a hideously rushed pacing by necessity, he manages, although there are some definite fumbles here, he manages to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear in a really beautiful way. And to have delivered so many incredible moments, even in a deeply flawed series like this, to me, he made a bigger impact on that series than any other director. So that's why, even though it is a very deeply flawed series in many respects, I give it to Hamasaki Hiroshi for Mugen no Junin Immortal. Honorable mention goes to Nanbe Hitoshi for Golden Kamuy third season and Ando Masaomi for Jibaku Shonen Hanako-kun. Next up, we get into the genre categories. I only do a few of them, but I do a few. Personal favorites of mine. First is Best Romance. Best Romance, and the Oscar goes to Tonikaku Kawaii. Not a huge surprise here, because in reality, Best Romance is a category that has not thrived in anime in the last few years, and 2020 was no exception. In fact, I was only able to, in honesty, give one honorable mention here in this category. I couldn't even really come up with three I wanted to recognize. However, I do love Tonikaku Kawaii and hope fervently that we get a second season in addition to the OVA we know is coming. It really is an interesting look at relationship, which is most anime romances are about the build up, the dance. This is about the relationship itself. It's about marriage. And it's it's surprisingly subtle and surprisingly deep. And I think a function of the fact that you're talking about a mangaka who's lived a little bit, who's had some experiences. And I think you can really see that come out in his writing for Tonikaku Kawaii. So my best romance of the year, Tonikaku Kawaii, and my only honorable mention is Yesterday Wo Utate, which would have had a serious chance to win the best romance, but really flubbed the ending in a major way, which we don't need to go into again. But that would be my reason for choosing Yesterday Wo Utate as second rather than first. But those are really the only two I can single out. Next category, Best Comedy, another category which unfortunately anime comedy is not as strong as it was a few years ago. It's been on a downward cycle, and 2020 was no exception. But we do have some nice choices, and tops amongst them, the Oscar goes to Namio Kitekure. And Namio Kitekure, again, just a really funny show. Ironically, has some started out with a really unfunny sketch, which had me very dubious about it, but most of the rest of it was quite funny. So I think really, really pretty brilliant comedy. Look at the difficulties of being an adult in modern Japan in a way that I think very few anime have done as effectively, but in a mostly very comic way, and often madcap, almost Monty Python esque way, I would say, as Golden Kamuy was as well. And since I'm a huge Python fan, that's a big plus for me. My honorable mentions in this category are Mairi Mashita Irumakun and Tonikaku Kawaii, which is definitely a romantic comedy, so I think it certainly qualifies in both categories. Next category is a big one. Best drama. Best drama. We do this in the Golden Globe style here at the LiA Oscars. We do best comedy and best drama. And best drama is often best series. Not always, but it often is. And this year in best drama, the Oscar goes to Golden Kamuy, third season. And yes, drama is a broad brush. It's hard to say exactly what should fall under that category, but I do think on the whole it has bits of action, it has bits of comedy, but on the whole I think Golden Kamuy is a drama, and I think it is the best show this year that is a drama. So I'm giving it to Golden Kamuy third season, with my honorable mentions going to Jibaku Shonen Hanako-kun, Yesterday wo Utate, and Major Second Season 2, which, yes, I think is a drama for sure, in addition to being a sports series. So that's those are my picks. Could easily have given this to either of the runners up. It was pretty close, depending on how tightly you want to use that drama label. But I think Golden Kamuy is the series that takes it. And then we come to best series, the penultimate award of the evening. And best series, I think if you follow my website, you probably know what I'm going to choose here. But the Oscar goes to probably the most unnecessary drum roll ever, Golden Kamuy season 3. Um, it was the best show of the year. It's a no-brainer. It was the best show of the year. It's best series. I'm happy to give this to a comedy to if it earns it, but this year, as it often does, it's a drama, and it's Golden Kamuy. It was the best show of the season. Not super duper close. Easily the best season of Golden Kamuy so far. And just a really, really a fantastic year of anime for Golden Kamuy. Honorable mentions go to, once again, Jibaku Shonen Hanako-kun and Major Second Season 2. And last, of course, it's Best Picture, our final award of the evening, Best Picture. And the Oscar goes to Made in Abyss Movie 3, Fukaki Tumashi no Reme. And this one was a slam dunk. I mentioned before that art direction was a slam dunk for me. This is a slam dunk for me. It was not a strong year for anime theatrically, but I think there's very good reason for that, because so many movies were delayed because of the pandemic. So I think 2021 has a chance to be a stronger year in anime theatrically. 2019 was a pretty good year. But this is another category I could really only come up with one honorable mention. But it wasn't close between the two. The winner by a wide margin is Made in Abyss Movie 3, Dawn of the Deep Soul. It's Made in Abyss cranked up to 11. You know how beautiful the visuals are for the TV show. Well, Kinema Citrus just cranked that up even more. It's fantastically beautiful, really difficult to watch at times, really, really difficult to watch at times, but as it usually does, Made in Abyss manages to stay just on the right side of that line for me. And it is a fantastic visually, musically, Kevin Penkin's music. It's just a wonderful movie all the way around. A painful but powerful experience. My honorable mention goes to Nakitai Watashi wa Neko wa wo Kabaru, A Whisker Way, as they called it in English. Mainly because it was really the only other theatrical film, and I do base this category on things that are released theatrically in anime in Japan during the year, not Blu-ray, but theatrically. And that was my second favorite theatrical release of the year. It was really quite a good film. Okada wrote it, of course. Sato Junichi directed. Um, Not a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but a solid, entertaining film with some nice visual moments, but not even close to Made in Abyss for the total picture. And that wraps up the LIA Oscars for 2020. I hope you've enjoyed. Again, not the greatest year anime has ever seen by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't the greatest year the world saw by any stretch of the imagination either. It was a tough one. 2021, here's hoping it's better for me, for you, for anime, for everyone. Anime itself, I think, is off to a better start in 2021 than 2020, and hopefully the world will be too. Signs of hope. Maybe if we allow ourselves to squint and really look for them. I really deeply appreciate all your support in 2020 and for the last 10 years. If you like what you saw here, of course, please subscribe, please like, please comment. And again, my deep appreciation to everyone who supports LIA and supports the YouTube channel. And I look forward to spending an anime 2021 with you that we both really enjoy. Thanks again. And with best wishes for the new year, stay frosty.